I thought I'd share some testimonies from this week and also alert you to the other channel, WAB-ART Productions. I'll put the link in the description. That's where you'll find Revelation. I think it's 19 and number 20 will go in there. Whilst they pertain to far greater than what they would first appear, they are from a perspective of art. Now, I've coined the word nurture, which is where art meets nature, and art is a fantastic journal that is guiding humanity. Anyway, to the point of this video, and as I record this, I'm reminded to say wishing you all a happy new year as we enter the Chinese year of the wood dragon, where the strength of nature, which is represented by the wood, meets the spirit represented by the dragon, so bringing heaven upon earth, you could say. So, to the manifestations themselves, the last video I made on this channel was Wednesday, and at that time, as Wednesday drew to a close, I'd probably got enough tobacco for maybe 3 or 4 smokes, and that was it. So Thursday morning began using the imagination, creating the scene, planning the day out in your mind. So rather than focus on the negative lack polarity of I'm running out of tobacco, I'm imagining having a new pouch of tobacco and that problem being solved. So I'm holding the feeling of breaking the seal on a new packet. So Thursday morning, sometime between 10 and 11, I got up, and it had just started to rain, so I was getting washing in off the line before it got wet again. And I heard a car pull up, and I heard a car door, and Julia, thank you very much once again, Julia from Simplicity Revealed channel. Check her channel out if you don't know of her channel. Same message about manifesting, imagination creates reality. So anyway, Julia's turned up with a bag, not only with some food items, some of which I'd run out of, like coffee, milk, I think I was pretty much run out of, some bread rolls, some porridge, peanut butter, things that were either running out or getting very low, and it's like, I've got to get some more of these things. And 30 grams of tobacco as well. So there's the first thing. The second thing was Keith had some Gouda cheese, and I thought, oh, it's been a long time, I'd like to have a piece of cheese. Well, yesterday he said to me, I've got no bread left, would you like the rest of this cheese? So that very pack of Gouda cheese, I got to have some cheese, and Buddy had a slice, which he loved as well. So that's 2 manifestations. Now the third one, it came into my mind about Richard Strauss's Alpine Symphony. I'll leave over about explaining about that actual symphony to a video, because it's a video in its own right. But suffice to say that not once, the first part was just an excerpt, and I possibly as a fill-in and a sort of prompt for an evening program on the radio, but of course what came on, so I didn't get it once, but I got the entire symphony, which is about 50 minutes long, and the majority of it being played earlier in the day. And again, just from a passing thought, just putting out a wish to the universe. Excuse me. Now there's a saying about we're our own worst enemy. if you can grasp the idea that you are a magnetic being, essentially, externally of you is an interactive field. Think of it like a green screen. So whatever you feel and therefore radiate out, as Lana A. Labonte puts it so very well, where you're at is what you attract. So had I been focusing my attention, therefore my energy would go to the same place on, I am running out of tobacco, what am I going to do? I've got no tobacco. You could see where what that would have brought towards me. That would have brought the very thing I didn't want. Because the conscious mind would now start trying to figure out the solution. This is the ability to co-create. There's another example, and I can't actually think of it. These, by the way, are just testimonies from a personal perspective. That is not including the many other cases where I've used my imagination, where in direct communication with different people, I've had them say things to me where they're coming from a negative thing of, why is this happening to me, or this has happened to me. But I'm not hearing that in my mind. I'm changing it with my imagination into a far more positive outcome, which goes out into this interactive field and will play a part. Obviously, it's down to that individual to unlock that feeling within themselves for that energy to also then strengthen their energy. This is effectively how everything works in this reality. Now, I've got Revelation 20 will also be on the WAB-ART Productions channel. I'm going to look at the symbology and what an orchestra can represent in a far greater context as it is. Anyway, something else very much in the line of how nature would, the strength of nature being expressed in the year of the wood dragon. Wednesday was a lovely day, like it would appear to be now, but today has been intermittent showers. Thursday it rained all day. Yesterday, again intermittent showers, but using the imagination, it's like I wish to feel, and I can draw on the previous experience, just like now, I wish to feel the rays of the sun on my face and that lovely warmth feeling you get from the sun. And it's going behind a cloud. See, there's the contrast. The beauty in the timing. You can see time as a negative thing, or you can go chasing after it. You can try and create more time, or you can feel like time is dissolving and slipping away. So use the time wisely. Don't dwell on the negatives. And see, look, the sun's come back out. There's a perfect example. That's what I was going to say. That's nature giving a sign. What is presented in the external reality is pretty much the same script of, will you accept this script of the path of self-destruction? And that's where most of them seem to lead, no matter what you look at externally. But then when you internalize these things and you realize you have the power to create in the imagination, that's the creator in action. It's omnipresent. It's present everywhere in everything. So you're not separate from anything either. So let's put it another way. Adrian Elise, who does the Gaia Weekly updates, if you've not listened to her channel, I would recommend listening to that. So now, she's often said it only takes one supernova soul to go supernova, and it's game over for this control system. Therefore, from that, it would imply it needs someone to step up to that. So I'm going to put myself forward for that. Why not? Because I'm also, what I can draw on in this realm of duality, where we have comparisons and things, to see the contrasts, is there not such a thing as synchronized thoughts? So therefore, if that thought, if I stepped onto that thought wave of, why couldn't it be me? There's also, when you realize that nothing is separate, the one that is being referred to is the one that is in each of us. So I would even go so far as to say there may well be others out there who've had the very same thought. Well, what if I could go supernova? I feel the imagination creates reality has been proven to myself, by myself, over and over sufficient times to keep going with this. I would even go so far as to say I'm living the dream. The dream now being a conscious dream of I'm going to create the world around me. There's certain things that would seem to be very disagreeable in the external world, which I personally have not witnessed, I have not been subjected to, and I really don't know, but considering that there is this ability to manifest from thought, would suggest that there is ways of harvesting energy that cannot be seen or measured in the material and the physical, shall we say, an occult knowledge. But do I know it to be true? No. But logic and reasoning would suggest that it probably is, if the realization comes that we do have the power to create as co-creators in this reality, then there is an energy that is neutral, that can be tapped into, that can be used for good or for bad, which obviously is all from perspectives. So it's carrying on. This is where I'm at the moment. The situation is, I have no income. The channel and my daily life are at the mercy or the generosity, and it also sort of reiterates that it only takes one supernova soul. In many cases, and I'm not the only one that can testify to this, that it's been through generosity of individuals that has helped another out of a situation, or helped get them through and helped turn their life around. I'm sure, I'm going to mention a couple of names, Sonia from Tree of Knowledge channel and Levette. I'm sure both of those would testify that it is from people's generosity. This co-creation, because the one that you're helping, it's not just their story, because you've played a part in their story, you've played a supporting role. When you realise the whole world is a stage, where is the point in having stage fright, for example? Whatever you do in this reality, and it just comes down to perception, however you act in this world, in the workplace or wherever, certain subsections of people will perceive you in a certain way. They will perceive from the way you act, from the way you are, and have this perception of you as a character in a role. So there's an example that the entire world is a stage, whether you'd want to just see it purely in the perspective of a film with a director and cameraman, or if you want to change your perspective slightly and see that the whole world is effectively that. Now the key part is, are you the one that is writing your own story, or is that story being given to you in a script? Most of them would seem to be fear-based stories for you to grab hold of and play a minor character role in those stories that are being offered, which seems, shall we say, a waste of the thing that is most finite. The experience from going from birth to death is finite. It's time. That is your currency. How you spend your time and where you focus your attention is surely got to be key to this. So, would it not be better to become your own scriptwriter, your own producer, your own director, not following the crowd, but thinking outside the box, realizing that it's the box, the cube, that has to be circled. The box is all those elements within inside yourself that make up the individual you. Those feelings of negativity, the things that come up as an instant reaction of, oh no, I don't want to face that, or oh, just tell them to go away, or that initial negative sort of reaction voice inside yourself. So we can conceptualize this as wheels within wheels. So as an example of this, you've got a second. Now 60 seconds makes a circle, which makes 1 minute. 60 of those minutes makes another circle, which is an hour, and so on and so on. And probably by this stage in your mind, you have created a picture of a clock with circles within circles within circles, wheels within wheels within wheels. That's what this reality is, and it's all interconnecting cogs. It runs like clockwork because it is all subject to time. But what if you can rearrange the cogs? Now, they're not actual physical cogs, obviously, but by changing perspective, changing frequency, changing the vibration, that interactive field, everything that is external of you will now have to interact. I say this from experience, and what I will say is, when you change your perspective about this reality to a more positive one, and more from the point of view of being the observer, it comes back to this Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and fragmented. So, like the wheels within wheels, you ideally, it's a good thing to play out in the mind of splitting yourself into three component parts. That being the patient who is on the couch, who is talking, the psychologist who is listening, and the observer of both. Then you put yourself back together again. And what you'll find with this reality is nothing changes. There is such a thing as a green screen. It's called nature. The background painting, the external world, is a living picture. That's why it cannot be framed. And you can't see all of it at once anyway. That's a physical impossibility. But onto that green screen, you're projecting based on the frequency that you're radiating out from yourself, which will, because it's interactive, will match the frequency that you're at. It will tune to you. But at the same time, if you re-attune yourself to a higher vibration, that external reality will also change to reflect a higher vibration. I'm finding this to be more and more true. That's not to say that I don't face further challenges, the usual ones of being in such a remote place, but to reiterate again, I'm offering mentorship, no different really from what I'm saying on videos, but it could be tailored more to an individual one-to-one basis. On a final note, I've not asked the person's permission, so I'm not going to mention their name, but it was put to me a question about the Truman Show. What if Truman woke up and realised, but just went along with it? To which I said, if he was a very good actor and was convincing enough. But then there's also, after a while, would that not drive you mad? Because who could you talk to if you knew everybody else was in on it? But out of that comes, with the wheels within wheels, well, what if those that are observing the Truman Show are also being observed by something greater? Then the follow-up question was to ask, would the director have not accounted for this, and there's a Truman Jr., so you could say a son, so it would be a second coming. This story, I feel, also reflects there is nothing new under the sun. But in the context of the story of the Truman Show is this lifelong study of this guy on a real-time television show. Now, television shows rely on ratings. They're in competition with other television shows. So, if you're dropping in viewing figures because it's become less interesting, what an interesting twist that would be with either storyline of Truman waking up in the show and playing the show to a personal advantage. But what also if there was a son of Truman? That you could say would be the second coming. That, in the context of the story, Truman's son would be the saviour of the television station. It would rejuvenate and bring new life back to that television show. It would keep the story going. Maybe that's what this reality really is, as I have described it. I am, and where is I am in the present, so it is. And it's a story. I am his story. I am mystery. That is the answer. The manifesting is proof of this. It's not about trying to figure things out. It is surrender of, okay, universe, you solve this. And using the imagination, going to the end, imagining the outcome that you wish for, playing out the scene in your mind, convincing your body and the subconscious that it's real. It has this magical effect. There is no other word to describe it, but magic is magnetism, and it's I see the magnetism. I see how this reality works. So let's enter this new year, this year of the wood dragon, and let's step up on the world stage, because we're already on the world stage. Let's go forward and be those supernovas that go supernova. And let's see where the story goes. Let's play out the script. Let's play out the script that's being played out, but now let's put a more positive and a more balanced twist to the story, you could say. Where will that lead? Clearly back to Genesis, to a new start. Is that not what we are looking for? Or are you happy to be in that realm of something doesn't figure quite right about this reality, so I'll start looking down conspiracies, I'll start having to face myself, I'll go through all this unpleasant aspects and things that I really don't want to face, because it's not a pleasant experience early on, but it gets easier and easier, so you can come out the other side of it. And I invite you all to step into this new year, step up on the stage, have the spotlight on yourself. Because if anything, everything external is a reflection, well, what is the spotlight? What is the true light then? Right, so just as a reminder, check the description, there's all details how to contact me, donation for mentorship, email or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, and links for the Revelations 19 and 20 when I create that one will be on the smaller channel, so I'll link those across from the description in this video. So new year, new start. Doesn't matter about calendrical systems. Take any day as a marker. Each day is a new day, is it not? So you can add a bit of emphasis on a particular day. Today seems like a good one that you can draw on the collective energy of a certain amount of humanity that believes and feels this is the start of a new year. So why not use that energy in a very positive way and make it your own, and in a benevolent way, of course, which will radiate out to help many others. Love to you all.